a couple weeks ago of iron sharpening iron. And in order to have that, there has to be sparks.
We truly connect with people, not with our strengths, but in the vulnerability of our weaknesses.
There's no testimony without a test.
When you're standing on the mountaintop, the view is absolutely incredible. It's so beautiful, but it's in the valley where the flowers and the new life is born.
I'm addicted to pornography. I'm addicted to, there's pieces.
God's saying, like, I need you to let go of control. I need you to let me knock down a lot of these buildings because there's something new that I need to build, but I can't with all these things in the way. Two things determine value. Who's the creator, and how much is someone knowledgeable willing to pay for the creation? Think about that with regard to your own value.
In order to break down those idols, you do have to tear them down to the foundation and rebuild.
The right ambition is to become a man who's so secure, so sure of what his creator thinks of him that he knows that he's winning even when he's losing.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am your co-host, Brian Owen, alongside my wife, Kersha.
Hi.
And a special guest, Dustin Johnson, is with us today.
Hello.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And it's the story that we have, just the impact that's happened in the community. It's been amazing. The messages that are shared, the people that are subscribing and following. And that's, honestly, Dustin had reached out and he was like, hey, I need a prayer request. And it's just kind of morphed from there of, hey, I think I have something that's impactful. And we want to have that shared today. It is a crazy, unbelievable story for sure. Kersha?
Yeah. I want to just really kind of set the stage for Dustin and his wife, Alexandria. They have a How You Praise in the Valley story. And I want to thank Dustin for your obedience. Mm-hmm. God has asked him to come on this podcast, and this has kind of been about a month's work of trying to find a day to make this work. And so thank you for your obedience. Thank you for faithfully walking through this journey. I know it's not easy, but the only way up is to go up. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Betty.
Yeah. Share with us a little bit of your story.
Yeah.
What God's put on your heart.
Yeah, it's been, I figured I would just kind of start off with, it's been a wild ride for the last 2.5 years. Start back about 2.5 years ago. We had our first son, and our first child, I should say. He was born in like June, and then my wife actually ended up having like severe postpartum depression after that. And I mean, that took a toll. I mean, it was 3 to 4 months solid of postpartum. So, I mean, going to having a new kid to having to deal with that. And then, I actually ended up getting injured twice at work within a month of each other, so that affected being able to take care of my kid, affected my work, all that. And then, in the midst of all that, I actually had another bank approach me, and I was like, well, the bank that I was at, they usually are great about like, hey, we want to keep you, and everybody I'd ever talked to, it's like they were always, they made an offer to keep them, or even if they didn't end up staying, and so it's like, okay, I'll pursue it, see what happens, and the other bank actually made an offer, so I kind of wanted to stay where I was at, because it was comfortable, and so. I was like, hey, just letting you know, this other bank approached me, and, and they were like, you're not worth making an offer on. So, if you want to go, you can go. And so, yeah,
thank you for the self-worth.
Yeah. I'm like, that was awesome for the self-worth on. Yeah. And so, yeah, at the end of that year, it's like I ended up switching, going to the new place. And then, a few months later, we were actually in a car accident that actually ended up tearing up part of my shoulder, so I ended up having surgery later on that year. And I had just recovered from 2.5 years of physical therapy, like 6 months prior to that accident. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, like, again, I'm going to have physical therapy. And then, I had the surgery, so I was out of work for 6 weeks. And just being new there, I really didn't have much PTO or anything saved up. So it's like most all of that was without pay. And then at the end of that year, due to a lot of circumstances, I was actually let go from that place. So it was like, okay, well, there goes the income again. And then
That's tough.
it was a little rough, and that was 3 months without income, as far as like a job. And in the midst of that, in January, we actually found out that we were pregnant again. And so then February, I actually started that job, and the second day that I was at the job, we found out that we had a miscarriage, which was our second miscarriage from that pregnancy. And we found out that her grandmother actually ended up passing away, all within like a week and a half of all this. So it was a whirlwind of a week and a half in all that. And then we were supposed to have like the settlement and everything from the accident the year before, like the February, March time. Well, March we ended up finding out that their insurance was going to deny everything, and so we have to go to litigation, which is going to extend it out like a whole nother year and a half, and stretch out this process. And then in June, I was let go again from 4 months into this job. I was let go, and then 2 months later, we find out that we're expecting again. And it's healthy. So, it's like, praise on that, And then September, literally, I mean, our car had been great, and all of a sudden transmission just goes out completely. So having to find another vehicle in the midst of all this without having a job. And then, because of like the job loss, the insurance ending and all that, my wife actually ended up having to we had to get different insurance. Well, insurance didn't want to, like the doctors didn't want to pick her up because she'd already been seen by providers. And so it was like a month and a half of her like searching and trying to find a new provider, added stress to her pregnancy, and so, I mean, it's honestly, it's been a crazy time. And, in the midst of all this, it's like, I know I kept being reminded, it's like God is always taking care of us. It's like I'd been through job loss before in the past, and God has always taken care of us. So it's like, okay, like this is something that, I mean, he's going to take care of us again, and that's just kind of the mindset we've both kind of had during all of this. And it's like, just having that, trying to keep that peace and that gratitude in the midst of all this chaos that's going on in our life. And to me, it's just like, I mean, how else are you supposed to cope with it? I mean, you just have to learn how to trust God with that and to allow that peace to.
I think, I mean, that's, you have given a lot, in that short window of about 5 minutes, 6 minutes of a testimony.
Yeah, that's not just a 1-2 punch. That's like
that's a you 15. Got a TKO, and then you still got up and got another TKO in your life. But what's the Mike Tyson saying? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah,
you've been punched in the face a few times,
just a few,
and the gut. But the beauty is you have broad shoulders. Like, I mean, God has called the man of the household to have the shoulders to carry the load, and that's not always easy. And so kudos to you. I know you had shared some other aspects. We'll kind of get into that, but I want to go back. You were talking about the postpartum, being the postpartum aspect for your wife. That is an avenue that I think kind of gets glazed over.
Oh yeah.
We've experienced that. We've experienced the miscarriages as well. And I think people just kind of, it's a social norm of like, oh, they just get through it. But that takes a toll. I mean, outside of everything else that you guys were experiencing. But the postpartum aspect, I don't know if you want to kind of hit on that. Like, just.
Yeah, that can be,
real.
It's very real. It can be very intense depending on the level of postpartum you have. Mm-hmm. I suffered from just being overwhelmed. The additional task of taking on a child, and it really was our first child, I remember Brian came home from working out on the road, and I was like, I want to go to a hotel and just sleep. And he was like, so you want to leave us? And I was like, no, I just want sleep. Like, that's it. And so that's when I knew something was wrong inside of me. And so, but mine was very mild and very just, I knew something was wrong and I knew I needed help. And I knew it was no longer the baby blues. And I think those first 6 weeks post baby is where it gets missed. And so, you know, thankfully we were able to get through it, you know, and I was put on a medication that just seamlessly kind of took that overwhelming feeling away. But I know that there are some women who they're planning suicide, and they're planning, how do I fake it so that insurance will pay?
Yeah.
So, I thank you for being vulnerable and honest about that, because that's an area that it does just kind of get glazed over. They overlook the mom because the baby gets the focus, and the baby's needs are real, right? But so are mom's needs.
I wanted to, with kind of that postpartum aspect, that your wife would have been going through, the communication aspect. What did communication look like for the two of you through amongst all of this? Because it's not just a you season, it's a family season.
Right.
What did that communication look like within your household?
Honestly, I mean, it was something that was, I mean, originally I wanted to say daily, but it was more hourly. Like, what do you need right now? Like, how can I help you right now? Because, you know, sometimes it changed like in an instant. Like, you know, I just want to be alone. Okay, I need you guys around me, you know, 30 minutes later. And it's like, I need you guys here, you know, for the next 2 hours, just be next to me. And then, you know, so it was just like constantly like, I mean, her needs would change, you know, and just being aware of that and being available in that season. And I even know like postpartum was kind of one of those things, like you said, it's not talked about a lot. And so I know for me, it was like, okay, like, it's just like, oh, like, I miss being pregnant, you know, it's like, you know, but it's like, it impacted her so much more than that. I mean, literally her personality changed completely.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just super depressed during the whole time. I mean, and it's like that was not her. It's like, I remember we were talking one time and it was like, and it's like, I don't know if it'll ever happen again, you know, it's like, or if this is the new norm, but it's like, I want the old Alexandria back. It's like, I miss that personality. I miss that, you know, and it's like, okay, God, you know, and I was praying to God. I'm like, okay, if this is the new, you know, it's like, okay, so be it, you know, but it's like, I miss that aspect of who I married. And thank God, like, you know, she reached out, got some help, and, you know, like I said, over 3-4 months or whatever, you know, she started coming out of that, and, you know, she's back to herself again, you know, but yeah, I was just like, okay, this is not at all what I was expecting when I hear people talk about postpartum. And I think that, you know, the first miscarriage prior to our son being born played huge into that, you know, because it was like, okay, this is what we missed not having, you know, now that we have this child, you know, it's like we could have had that, you know, and all those thoughts that can run through.
Well, and I think the communication aspect is so vital. We all can agree on that it's like, when that stops, like, that's where Satan creeps in. That's where all these things kind of begin to, you know, to pop into our mind. And, you know, the provision aspect, like, you know, you had talked about, you know, we'll kind of unpack a comment your buddy had said that you kind of, let's talk about that. What you were talking to a friend, and he had kind of given you, I'm going to call it a piece of the rope, and you've hung on to that through this storm or this season. What was that you shared?
Yeah, so literally I was chatting with a buddy of mine a few weeks ago, and we were just kind of catching up on everything that was kind of going on in my life, and he didn't know about like the job loss, and that we were expecting again, and just all the thing from the last like 3-4 months of our life. And you know, I was just like, yeah, it's like, I mean, we're holding on, you know, it's like God's got us, you know, it's like, you know, there's hope, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there's hope there, you know, and he was just like, I don't know how you do it, man. Like, I don't, and this guy has incredible faith, and he's like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know how you guys are so calm and so like, okay, God's got this and this. And it's like, but I think it's because we've been there before. We've seen that God is faithful. We've seen that God always provides. I think I love the name of God, Jehovah Jireh. You know, because it's like the Lord will provide. Yeah. That's been one of my favorite names of his. Like even always growing up, you know, we were super poor growing up, but you know, he just always reminded me of that name, Jehovah Jireh. Like God will provide, even if it's just enough to get you through today. Yeah. Just enough to get you through the hour, you know, and that's what I was sharing with him. He's like, your faith is incredible, man, because he's like, I don't think I could do what you're doing right now. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, what other option do I have? You know, it's like,
what's your alternative?
You know, it's like, just thank him for where we're at. Yeah. And, you know.
And it's like the image of the duck on the water, and you just see them gliding, but you can't see their feet underneath. That's your guys' life right now. Right. It's crazy. Kersha and I have been in many seasons like that. But two verses came to mind when you were sharing that earlier with us. But Psalm 73, verses 1 through 17. And I'm out of the Maxwell Leadership Bible. He kind of breaks this down, but he talks about in Psalm 73, 1 through 17, without hope in the future, we lack power in the present. Was basically summarizing that 1 through 17. And I think that hits what your buddy was talking about. That, you know, he has faith, he has hope, but if you don't have it, you know, what are you going to do? Curl up in a ball? Right. You know, what are we going to do? So, you say something.
Well, I was just going to say that if we lose hope, then we lose the power of the Holy Spirit within us. And that's where faith is tested and tried, is in those valleys. That's where we're recreated, is in the valley. And, you know, God calls us to praise in the valley, not just on the mountaintops, but to praise even when it still hurts. And that's where we get rebuilt. That's where new life you had.
Share that comment.
That quote that I heard the other day was, you know, when you're standing on the mountaintop, the view is absolutely incredible. You know, it's so beautiful, but it's in the valley where the flowers and the new life is born. And, you know, it's like, that's sometimes even more beautiful is the view of all the new flowers and all that. You know, it's like, you don't see that on the mountaintop.
Yeah. No, you don't see the animals down there eating the vegetation on the rooftop or on the mountaintops there in the valley. That's correct. The second verse that comes to my mind, and it kind of segues into the provision in the valley, but it was Matthew 6, verse 25 through 27. I set my phone down. Shouldn't have done that. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, store away in barns, and yet the Heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? And I think we can worry, we can fret, we can stress, we carry that with us. And I am guilty. I'm preaching to myself on this one, because I have walked around with one hand open or one fist closed and one hand open, and I'm listening to God, and He will provide, but yet I'm still trying to make it happen over here. Right. And I think once you relinquish that, and as you said, you know, we've been there before, and you know He will provide. It's not always going to look right. We've heard this shared with us in the past, that you may sow and focus over here, and your harvest you will reap somewhere totally different. Right. Because a door gets open, a connection gets made, you know, whatever that might look like. And I think there's countless times that people just get so hyper-focused on, my transmission went out. I was sharing with you before we were getting ready to record this. It's like the Instagram feed that I saw of, when debt gets paid off and we're out of this, and then it's like, then the transmission light comes on, or the check oil light, or the unexpected bill pops in the mail, and you're like, wait a minute, you have the wrong address. Right. It's not true. It's your, it's like, but it just keeps you kind of in that, it's that mindset and that perspective of, am I ever going to get out of this?
Right. But
God provides. Right. And there is a way. And it's, the beauty of networking, the beauty of people and relationships and community. I mean, that is the whole hope and encouragement has been why we built this podcast, why we started it, right, outside of, the book Kersha's working on. But your story, and I know there's even more to unpack to it, but it is, I pray that it just impacts people.
Yeah.
And it's still being written. I mean, all of us still have this story being written. But for the two of you,
if it's not good, God's not done.
Yeah, it's true. And you had mentioned earlier, there's no testimony.
There's no testimony without a test.
See, I'm trying to give her one-liners here.
But,
it's okay.
Oh, yeah. He tries to give them to me. Let's be honest.
She says that's fine. Whatever. Yeah, it's okay. I steal them from her.
But
whatever it is.
What you were just saying, it reminded me of the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. Mm-hmm. So we don't... tomorrow has enough worries of its own. Worry about today, and cast those worries onto God, and He will provide for you. He will provide today's bread for you today. Yeah. So I think that that's important, and I think all of us, we get bogged down with the journey that we're on right now, and things not coming to fruition when we want them to, and how we want them to look. And I'm totally guilty by this, but because I like my perfectionistic mindset to be, OCD. Well, this is the one puzzle piece I was missing, and I'm going to force it in here. But it's the wrong shape.
I wouldn't even be doing the puzzle because it's too boring. I can't. ADD kicks in way too much. I can't have the puzzle person.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think that you had ADD.
I'll just look at the picture.
He was talking about flowers, and he brings up the animals eating the vegetation.
It's hunting season. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, welcome to my world, guys. This is just how we roll around here.
This is the real podcast happening right now.
Right?
Dustin's like, what am I doing here?
Anyways, but I think that it's important for, if your journey is like Dustin's or different than Dustin's, that his faith, you would lean in on God, and that you would just be a really good testimony to people inside those pressures of the world around them. I
was gonna ask, what you shared some of that, but what did you do? Like, where did you go for recharge, just to recenter yourself? Because it can be stressful. It can be, those valleys are not easy.
Right.
So I'm just curious, where did you go?
This is the perk to being married. We can finish each other's sandwiches and sentences.
Great line. I don't share well. I do not share
well.
Brian just caught on to where that came from.
I think, like, for me, having a community of believers that you can rely on during those times was huge. Our church small group, we've been together since mid-2019. So we've been through a lot together.
You mean your small group isn't just like barbecues and bowling nights? It's, you actually do life together?
It's like, it's really focusing on God and what God is doing in our life, and how we can help each other through life. And and we've had a few other couples come and go, but there's been three couple, like us and two other couples that have been the core since the beginning.
That's good.
And it's like having those and having some mentors or life coaches, whatever you want to call them, just people that have been down the road. Even if they're not older than you, but just somebody that's been down the road a little bit further than you, and sometimes people that have been way down the road. It's good to have people from various different walks that can speak into you and just, you know, you're in the middle of this and you can see the 200-foot view, but like, hey, I'm looking at the 10,000-foot view. Like, you're doing good. Like, just keep going. Like, you know, yes, I know this kind of sucks, but you know, the storm is almost over. You know, just having those kind of people in your life, you really have to surround yourself by those kinds of people. Because I mean, too many times I've seen people that isolate, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been there before. You know, sometimes that's me to just draw back, isolate, and then it's like it's where the enemy attacks the hardest, and you know, takes a huge toll. And well, so
that's our 6 inches between our 2 ears.
Right,
we get in our own head, and we start to self-analyze. I've done that many times, but having that network, mentorship, you know, coaches, business partners, friends, church members, things like that. Just, I think being authentic and being real.
No.
I think that's, and I was joking about, you know, just the barbecue or the bowling people. Like, there are a lot of people, and again, having that experience is great.
Yeah.
But I think when you want to take it to that next level, that's where some people pull back themselves. Like, oh, I don't want to let them in on my finances, or I don't want to let them in on my marital stuff, or I'm addicted to pornography, or I'm addicted to, you know, like, there's pieces.
Yeah.
And I think we just did an episode a couple weeks ago of iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
And in order to have that, there has to be sparks.
Right.
And you've had mentorship. I've had mentorship that I don't like hearing, but we need to hear it.
Yeah.
And it is, I remember Jim saying to me specifically, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I was like, oh, bring it on. Like, I'm ready for it. And then he tells me, and I'm like, no, I didn't hear that. Like, I don't want to hear it. But you have to be willing to fillet yourself open.
Yeah.
And be authentic, be receptive to that information as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier at the Hope House that you went to, or to IHOP, excuse me, not the pancake place. There is a place in Kansas City, IHOP. It is a
International House of Prayer.
There you go. 24-hour prayer service.
It's
a shameless plug for them. We'll have to add that to our show notes. But you went in and kind of share a little bit of that.
Yeah, so I was there just, you know, praying and spending some time with God, and was having a conversation with the gentleman, and he was like, can I share some stuff with you? And I'm like, okay. And I actually recorded it because he's like, I just feel like God wants me to share this with you. And so he's like, I see this wrecking ball that is just coming in and is starting to knock down buildings. And it's like you're standing there almost in shock, like, no, like I don't want you to knock down that building, like, or that one, you know. And it's like, you know, it's like I wanted the control, you know. And he's like, I feel like God's saying, like, I need you to let go of control. I need you to let me knock down a lot of these buildings because there's something new that I need to build, but I can't with all these things in the way, you know? And so allowing God to do that. And honestly, in this season, probably the last 3 or 4 months, it's really been a lot about what really matters. Like, look at your life and look at what really matters. And the verse that keeps coming, well, I don't know the exact verse, but in Ecclesiastes, there's a part where Solomon, the wisest man ever, was talking about Havilah. Everything is Havilah, which literally means like worthless. Like outside of our relationship with God and our relationship with others, like the rest of this is just worthless. Like it doesn't mean anything. So stop trying to pursue the money, the success, and it's like some of that will come with building relationships with people, but that's not the focus.
Correct.
You know, it's like everything else is Havilah.
It's keeping God the focus.
Yeah.
And I think too, you know, when God starts knocking down walls or buildings, He's really bringing us focus and awareness to, we were idolizing something above Him in that. And so in order to break down those idols, you do have to tear them down to the foundation and rebuild. Yeah, for sure.
We talked about our pastor. We had interviewed him several weeks back, But he had shared with Kersha and I early on, we were contemplating homeschool and, what do we do? We'd gone through COVID and the world's upside down. And he's like, at the end of the day, your sole purpose as a parent is to lead your kids to know Jesus Christ. And I was like, okay, and he's like, well, that's it. He goes, the other pieces fall into place, just like you were saying. And I think we do get hung up on some of these other statusy things, or I need this, or I need that, or in all honesty, you don't really.
Right.
Your daily bread, as you mentioned. I want to kind of start wrapping this up. You were talking about a book that you've been reading.
Yes.
The Men That We Need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Incredible book. I'm not even finished with it, but I have taken so much from it.
Okay.
And we were talking about, in a lot of these things, how it kind of affects like your self-worth and your value, during, losing your job for men, especially. Like losing your job can be a huge hit on like your value and your self-worth, or somebody telling you like, hey, you're not worth us, trying to keep you. Like, it's like,
that's just a really good representation of they way undervalued your worth anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was God saying, no, I no longer want you here.
Right.
Yep.
And I know it doesn't feel that in the moment, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
It doesn't. No.
let somebody else's hindsight be your foresight.
Yep. Exactly. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself of. Because, in this book, they were talking about, he was talking to an art professor, and he just kind of asked him, like, how does art get its value? Because, I can look at these two paintings and they look super similar to each other, but this one's $500,000 and this one's $500, and so like, what's the difference between these? And I loved the quote. I'll just read it because I don't want to misquote it, but the professor said 2 things determine value: who's the creator, and how much is someone knowledgeable willing to pay for the creation. Think about that with regard to your own value. Take it in and internalize it. The right ambition is to become a man who's so secure, so sure of what his creator thinks of him that he knows that he's winning even when he's losing. And, it's like, okay, like, God has me. I am God's. And, the world can't determine my value. They can't determine like a job can't determine my value.
Right.
And so, learning to focus on him. And again, putting everything into focus and perspective on what's important, and when you learn to focus on him, focusing on what's important, focusing on the main things in life,
Yeah.
all the other starts falling into place.
Do you notice that when your focus comes off slightly and you're not focused on him or those things, challenges come your way?
Yes. Challenges, and also
Negative mindset.
And like laying down at the end of the day, head hits the pillow and it's like almost that like I feel worthless. I feel like I haven't done anything. I feel like today was a worthless day because I didn't have focus. I didn't have aim. Like I didn't pursue God. I didn't, and it was just like, wow, I just wasted the most precious commodity of time.
Yeah.
And didn't get anything for it.
And I think we are all in the same mindset. We've been around that of who can I impact today? Who can I encourage today? Who can I give hope to today? It could just be a simple smile or a hello. We're all cut from that same cloth. Right. But I think that's just an encouragement to others. I hope that you found value in today. Dustin, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being raw.
Obedient.
Thank you for being obedient. Thank you for being authentic. Because those are pieces that we for sure value off of the podcast and giving others hope. And if you found hope in it or something sparked in your mind, or this might help someone, please share it. That is how our community grows. That is how the impact just keeps becoming that ripple effect impact. And anything in closing from you?
No, I'm just thankful that you took that step of obedience, and I look forward to seeing how this impacts the community around you.
Definitely.
Yeah, and impacts you
Yeah.
and your family.
Yep. And I'll kind of end with that step of obedience. Yes, it took some vulnerability and was uncomfortable, but a man was telling me the other day, he said, we truly connect with people, not with our strengths, but in the vulnerability of our weaknesses.
Yeah.
And so, I'll kind of leave you with that. Like, sometimes it's in those weaknesses that other people find hope and other people find, what they need to take another step forward for the day.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, thank you for
Thank
coming
you, guys.
on. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. Until next time, love you.
Bye.